Namaste and welcome everyone to the Om Choir. I wanted to ask if some of you have chosen a line of Savitri that you could recite for us. Only one line. Anyone could begin if you have chosen one.
I chose, Thy calm, O Lord, that bears thy hands of joy.
Wonderful, wonderful.
I have also chosen one. It's my favorite line. It is, I am, I love, I see, I act, I will.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
And what is Death's reply to that?
Death still goes on pandering and troubling mother, and he still wants to prove his point until I think, if I remember correctly, the Lord reveals himself, and Death still doesn't listen, and then the light just engulfs him.
He does answer to Savitri, and he says, "No," also. And
He
knowing,
does, yes.
and knowing thou shalt cease to love and cease to live, delivered from thy heart. Oh, and what is her answer to that?
I don't remember, but I know what, I kind of know what it is.
She says, "When I have loved forever, I shall know."
Yes.
Oh, so
Yeah.
beautiful.
Yeah.
Who else can give us a line?
I can
Someone
give
else?
This
Good.
is Abha. This is Abha.
Yes, Abba.
Yes. And belief shall be not till the work is done.
Ah, wonderful, wonderful. Then Vladimir?
Forever love, O beautiful slave of God.
Ah, wonderful. Anyone else?
I can go.
Yes,
Oh,
who is it?
this is Soumya. How
Yes.
are you, Naraji?
I'm fine, thank you. What did you have for us?
All can be done when God's touch is there.
If the God touches.
If God's touch is there.
Wonderful, wonderful. Who else? Anyone?
I will continue. I am Nika. Choose, Spirit, thy supreme choice not given again.
Ah, yes. That's wonderful. Anyone else? So then we'll begin our Om Choir now. And we always begin with our exercises because we have to build a strong body to be able to contain this music that is coming down, this music that is so powerful that it's transformative. And when I say transformative, I don't say that lightly. I say it because the mother had asked this music to come down. It is she who is behind all of this work. And we must remember her at each step of the way. For example, when I told her that I didn't know how to combine words and music, she was very strong. She said, no, you must go far above words and bring down the pure music. And now we know that the way to do it is through Om. So we begin always with our hum. And push through the nose and feel the vibration in your lips with the hum. Let us all begin. If we can begin at the same level of sound, that would be ideal.
Too interesting.
Oh, we need many more voices to help us now. Many more voices. No shyness, people.
Come to them.
Shyness is just the ego. Get rid of shyness, get rid of fear, and just sing. Open, let the divine sing through you, even in the exercise. Feel the presence. Now here is the note. I'll go a little higher. All of you try to capture this note. So as always, we have some 20 different tones. That's all right. To have 20 tones, it's okay. But we have to try to get to one tone in our exercises, or we won't be able to move ahead in practicing more difficult exercises. So start with one or two people with a note, and then each one continue and sing that same note. Now, this is a very, very good exercise. Anyone start. Vladimir, you can start with a note, and then the next person repeat exactly that note.
They have to unmute.
Yeah, we have to unmute those who will follow, please. And if you have a background noise, please pay attention. Better mute yourself, because it will create a havoc for us. If you have outside something on the street or in the house, somebody's cooking, talking, please better mute yourself and sing in the mute position, because otherwise we will hear everything. That's the problem of this exercise.
And we are hearing a lot now.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we begin. So now I heard three people and three tones. So we have a couple of people who got it right. Very good. Let's see if we can get others who have it right. I would like all of you to practice this at home. Just if you have, oh, we have a lot of background noise. Oh, wow, a lot of background noise. If you have a piano or a harmonium, or even anything, harmonica or flute, guitar, anything at all, play one note and keep playing that one note until you have it and you can sing it. Now, what many people do, especially the Jewish people I found, they will take a child at the age of 2 or 3, and they will play the note A on the piano. And that child will develop almost perfect pitch or even perfect pitch, listening to that note constantly. So it can be done with any of us human beings. If we just practice that simple exercise of playing that note again and again and again until we have it exactly. And that would be a wonderful exercise for all of you. Now let us begin with and each time we take our breath, and then on each note we pull the diaphragm in.
There he is.
Can we do that?
Oh, shit, that was clever.
Okay. Feels fast.
Again.
Yeah.
If we can get the correct beginning note.
Oké. Aber du hast kein Mikrofon. Kannst nicht mitsingen.
Who is this?
Du hast ein Mikrofon, Mensch. Oh, vielleicht.
If we can get the first note, then we can. If we can get the first note, then it will be easier to move to the next two notes. And that is a transition in the voice that is carried out by the diaphragm. So we got a little bit closer to it this time. It was much better actually this time. Can we do it again? All right, quite good. Running a little bit behind, so we have to begin our ohms now. When we begin the ohm,
Okay. Enjoy.
when we begin the ohm, then we no longer think about the voice exercises. That has to become almost spontaneous in the body. The body has to learn how to produce a note, how to sustain a note, and that will come over time. It won't come immediately. It might take us 6 months, it might take us a year. But the Om choirs that we now have, when there are almost a minimum of 50 to 200 people, it works every week. And so I know it works, and I know that you can do it, but I ask you, please practice at home. Take that one note. If it's A, that's a good idea, but if it's not A, it doesn't matter. Just produce the note that you're playing on the piano, keyboard, anything, and you will make great progress. So let us concentrate for a moment, and we'll begin the Om. And to begin the Om, I will recite a quote from Savitri. Love in her was wider than the universe. The whole world could take refuge in her single heart. Stop. This means stop. This means stop. You see this? It is stop. There are two things that we always must consider. The first is beauty. We must aspire to open so that the beauty of the Lord's sound can enter into each of our collective bodies. The easiest way, the second thing, the easiest way, well, not the easiest way, the best way. It is a bit of a difficult way. We have to listen to each other. We have to connect with the soul of each other. And we can only do that if we are in a psychic poise. So one doesn't just sing Om and forget everyone else. One has to listen to each voice, to unite with each voice in a supreme harmony that the divine is bringing down. So let us try the second Om. And a line from Savitri. All nature dumbly calls to her alone to heal with her feet the aching throb of life and break the seals on the dim soul of man. Vladimir, is there any way that others can tell if their voice is too loud or too soft?
Unfortunately, there is no way to do it because everybody's voice is kind of showing, so one cannot really regulate it. It's better to be farther away from the microphone for collective singing.
That's a good point. To be farther away from the microphone And another suggestion I would make, in the beginning, at least in the beginning of this Om choir, let's sing a bit more softly. If we sing a bit more softly, then voices won't overtake other voices. So let's do our last Om because we have last Om. This means stop, 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 stop. I hope you can all see me. Does anyone have an inner feeling as to which Om was more profound, more beautiful?
Breathe.
1, 2, or 3?
2.
2 is correct. Very good. Namaste all. Thank you. We'll see you next Sunday. Please practice during the week on one note. Thank you. Now I have to find out how to get this. I don't know. Okay. Can I see the text, Vladimir?
Yes.
Quite large, a little larger. Wonderful. Today, we are going to do something quite different. We are going to go very, very deeply into this canto, but I'd like to read it for you first, just the first page. And then there will be much, much to speak of. Book 1, Canto 3, the Yoga of the King, the Yoga of the Soul's Release. A world's desire compelled her mortal birth. One in the front of the immemorial quest, protagonist of the mysterious play in which the unknown pursues himself through forms and limits his eternity by the hours, and the blind void struggles to live and see, a thinker and toiler in the ideal's air, brought down to earth's dumb need her radiant power. His was a spirit that stooped from larger spheres into our province of ephemeral sight, a colonist from immortality. A pointing beam on earth's uncertain roads, his birth held up a symbol and a sign. His human self, like a translucent cloak, covered the all-wise who leads the unseeing world. Affiliated to cosmic space and time, and paying here God's debt to earth and man, a greater sonship was his divine right. Although consenting to mortal ignorance, his knowledge shared the light ineffable. A strength of the original permanence, entangled in the moment and its flow, he kept the vision of the vasts behind. A power was in him from the unknowable, an archivist of the symbols of the beyond, a treasurer of superhuman dreams. He bore the stamp of mighty memories and shed their grandiose ray on human life. His days were a long growth to the Supreme. And now we begin to go so deeply into this long canto, which is of approximately 24 pages, because it introduces us to some of the hidden greatness of Sri Aurobindo in the character of Aswapati, the Lord of the Horse. Her, Savitri's, human father is the Lord of Tapasya, the concentrated energy of spiritual endeavor that helps us to rise from the mortal to the immortal planes. This quote was written in a letter to a disciple and is now printed at the beginning of Savitri as author's note. It is not exactly the author's note, but it was in a letter, and it is very important for all of us to go back and read this from time to time to truly understand who each of the characters represent. Now, the first line: a world's desire compelled her mortal birth. Now, here we find only the first line being about Savitri. Some people often wonder why they came when the world is in such turmoil. Did they come prematurely? This is just mental speculation, for we have their words that they chose to come now to help humanity ascend to the next level of the evolution and prepare for the transformation of this earthly life to a life divine. The next line, the second line: one in the front of the immemorial quest. Sri Aurobindo, who was so humble that he rarely would speak of himself, even to his closest disciples. And even in his letters, we could barely get a glimpse of him. He was against anyone writing a biography because he said his life was not on the surface for men to see. But, and here is the most beautiful thing, he reveals himself in Savitri almost fully. His avataric work, his experiences and realizations, and some facets of his inner life. Protagonist of the mysterious play. That's the third line. And we know that a protagonist is the main character in a literary work or a drama. The fourth line, in which the unknown pursues himself through forms. Yes, it's a very interesting line. In this great play of the divine, who casts himself into forms, animal, man, plant, a grain of sand, all these forms are him alone, as he dwells also in each of us, even in the crudest human being, who is the highest in the evolutionary climb to date. The next line, and limits his eternity by the hours. Certainly, the divine who is eternal chooses to limit himself in this world of birth and death. It is what is often called the holocaust of the Supreme. We can probably not imagine what a sacrifice it is for the divine to come down into a human body so that we may learn through his divine humanness where we have to go and what is our true work on the earth. The next lines, and the blind void, capital V, struggles to live and see. A thinker and toiler in the ideal's air, brought down to earth's dumb need, her radiant power. He, the thinker and toiler, and her, Savitri, the mother, or at least an aspect of the mother, is mentioned again. Again, a few words about the word dumb. We have chosen two definitions from the many that our dictionaries offer. One is lacking the power of speech. Two is producing no sound, silent, mute. Amal Kiran, with whom many of you are familiar, his legal name was K.D. Sethna. He wrote in his own hand an answer to my question about dumb being used to connote stupidity. Quote, you are right in saying that Sri Aurobindo uses the word dumb in the sense of mute, but never as stupid or lacking in intelligence. I think the latter usage is more slang than literature. I am not aware of dumb doing duty for stone anywhere in English. The next line. And we go very slowly because each of these lines has such a power. And we will see, and this is only book 1, Canto 3, This is the first part of Aswapati's yoga. His was a spirit that stooped from larger spheres. Again, Sri Aurobindo is speaking of himself, the avatar, who has come down to earth from the eternal realms, the larger spheres, into our province of ephemeral sight. Well, a province is a sphere or a field of activity. And we all know ephemeral is transitory, not lasting. A colonist from immortality. If we beat it out, a colonist from immortality. We have perfect 5 beats. Certainly he and mother are colonists from the immortal regions, even above the supermind. Now we have a series of lines. A pointing beam on earth's uncertain roads, his birth held up a symbol and a sign. His human self, like a translucent cloak, covered the all-wise, who leads the unseeing world. Affiliated to cosmic space and time. Affiliated basically means being in close relation to. He is in close relation to cosmic space and time, even though he comes down to us in the human form. But, you know, he has had to cover himself because we are not able to see the divine as yet. We can only see like a translucent cloak, something that covers the all-wise, who leads this unseeing world. And paying here God's debt to earth and man, well, we get this a lot in Savitri. Sri Aurobindo repeats it in many, many different ways. In the next canto, we will read, a mutual debt binds man to the Supreme. His nature we must put on, as he put ours. We are sons of God, and must be even as he. His human portion we must grow divine. Our life is a paradox, with God for key. So now we understand that God has a debt to earth and man. And what is that debt that binds us to the Supreme? That he has come down as a human portion, and we are his human portion. We are sons of God. We have to become even as he, because he has come down to us to show us the way. Therefore, our life is a paradox with God for key. Now, continuing on in this canto, a greater sonship was his divine right. Well, the sonship is the state of being a son. And of course, in Christianity, we know that Christ was the Son of God. So a greater sonship was his divine right, certainly. He was and still is the divine. He is the Lord. And we remember here Mother's words placed on the Samadhi, December 9th, 1950. To thee, who hast been the material envelope of our Master, to thee, our infinite gratitude. Before thee, who hast done so much for us, who hast worked, struggled, suffered, hoped, endured so much. Before thee, who hast willed all, attempted all, prepared, achieved all for us. Before thee, we bow down and implore that we may never forget, even for a moment, all we owe to thee. The next line, although consenting to mortal ignorance, even Sri Aurobindo, the Avatar, in descending into the mortal plane and taking up a human body, consented to mortal ignorance. The word consenting is very important here. Mother speaks of our forgetting when we enter a new body because the shock is so great, but not Sri Aurobindo, who is a self-born force. So he consents to mortal ignorance. The next line, his knowledge shared the light ineffable. Ineffable, incapable of being expressed, indescribable or unutterable. You may be surprised to know that Sri Aurobindo uses the word 48 times in Savitri. A strength of the original permanence. Note the capital P here. The original permanence, we would say here, is the property of being able to exist for an indefinite duration. The original permanence, entangled in the moment and its flow. Even though that strength is entangled in the moment, he still keeps the vision of the vasts behind. He kept the vision of the vasts behind. The vast here is capitalized, and it refers to an immense or boundless expanse of space, and it is chiefly used poetically. A power was in him from the unknowable. Oh, Sri Aurobindo has much to say about the unknowable in the Life Divine. Now here is one quote. I believe it's from, where is it from? It's from The Synthesis of Yoga. The unknowable is something, and here he capitalizes the S, something to us supreme, wonderful, and ineffable, ineffable again, which continually formulates itself to our consciousness and continually escapes from the formulation it has made. Note that he capitalizes here unknowable and something. And we've talked about capitalization before, that Amal has explained to me that it is the essence of the term. An archivist of the symbols of the beyond. What is an archivist exactly? It's one who preserves or organizes archival material, rare records, or documents. A treasurer of superhuman dreams, he bore the stamp of mighty memories. And here the word stamp is important because it's an official mark indicating genuineness, validity. And the next line, and shed their grandiose ray on human life. In Sri Aurobindo's time, grandiose was defined as, quote, characterized by greatness of scope or intent. Today, it is sometimes used in a pejorative sense, such as pertaining to exaggerated belief or claims of one's importance or identity, often manifested by delusions of great wealth, power, or fame, or something that is grand or magnificent, or something that is trying to be impressive, but is much too large, making it seem pretentious or overdone. So we have to discard our modern definition and use the definition characterized by greatness of scope or intent. His days were a long growth to the Supreme. And I think perhaps if you have any questions, we could cover them. Or you might even tell me today or in an email. My email is narada, Narada, the number 12, at gmail.com. Narada12@gmail.com. If this was too specific for you or too intense, or you would prefer a little less intensity, let me know. I'm here for you. I'm here for the Divine Mother in you. And I'm here in a very humble status, just as a servant, we might even say a slave of the divine. And I don't have the vast knowledge of Alok Pandey or the extraordinary vision of others. But I ask Sri Aurobindo always to speak through this human body so that perhaps something of his love and compassion may come through and touch your souls. It is a beautiful work for me to go through Savitri. I already go through Savitri every day with one of you, twice a week with another one. And I'm still open to even doing more if anyone sincerely wants to go into any canto of Savitri. If I don't know something, I will never guess. I will try to find it in the writings of Sri Aurobindo and Mother. So again, our time is about up. And I thank all of you who join me here each Sunday. I don't have a visa yet. It's been more than 5 months now. It may be another month or two before I'm in India. But even when I'm in India, I will continue this work online, as well as the live Om choirs twice a week, because I feel that the Om choir is so important, as is our going deeply into Savitri. I just want to remind you in closing that Mother says not to try to understand this with the mind, because it comes from provinces so far beyond the mind that it is mantra. And if we can take it as mantra, take it into our deepest soul, then in time, it will explain itself on its own, without the necessity of mental gymnastics. It will just appear to us and we will say, oh. And Mother says, each time we read it, we will find something new. And it is so true. Almost now 60 years of reading Savitri. And each time I read it, something is given to me. And I hope given to you. Namaste all. And thank you for attending. I'm so
Namaste.
Namaste. Thank you, Navit.
Thank you.
Namaste. Thank you so
Namaste.
much.
Thank you
Thank
so
you,
much.
Narichi.
Thank you.
If you have any questions, do write to me. Or any criticisms,
Thank you.
please write to me. Thank you.
Thank you, Narichi.
Thank you.